We were supposed to work close.
Oh,
All right. Welcome to Johnny's Garage. You got me, you got the big ugly guy on the top there, Death Row. I ain't a beauty, but hey, I'm here. And on the bottom, we got Mr. David Gardner, and his wife is there with him, Miss Angelique Gardner. They are the promoters, owners, bookers, put up chairs. They did everything for Syndicate Promotions.
Yeah.
Dave, how you doing?
I'm here.
What's up, brother, man? Shout out to Johnny's Garage. We're in the house. I did some wrestling with Dave, and I helped him with some of the promotional end for a while after I retired from wrestling, and so got to know Dave pretty good over a few years there. It was fun.
He says, I don't know if it was fun. And Dave, just so you know, this is a verbal thing. It's an interview. You can talk, no matter what Angelique says. All right. Now, I'm going to go with a little bit of your background, Dave. We know you started off as a child because that's where we all started. But what a lot of people don't know about you is you were a boxer. You had no idea about anything about wrestling. You were not that stuff we saw on TV not too long ago.
All right. I was helping somebody train, and then I decided I wanted to do it, but I did it when I was 30-some years old. So it's not like I was real good.
Well, the thing is, the training, putting on the boxing matches and doing all that, getting into the ring is the easy part. It's the training for what you do that is hard. And being 30-some years old, that's a feat in itself.
Well, my whole career lasted, I think, 6 months.
Well, that was 6 months more than me or him up there.
But I was training kids, little kids and stuff. And then I said, how can I be a trainer if I can't do it myself? So I think it was 32, 31. And I just went and did 2 amateur fights, lost them both. And then I just said, screw it, let me go pro. And I had 2 or 3 fights. 3.
3.
I lost every one.
I only went to 1 because it's the only one they'd let me go to.
At least you had a perfect record.
Yeah, 0-3.
All right. And a lot of people don't know this about you, but you're retired military, and me being military and Death Row went into the military too. We both thank you for doing that. You did a lot more than we did.
That's what I do.
That's it.
I stuck around long enough to get honorable discharge, and I hauled ass. That's what I did. Military life was not for me.
And in Columbus, Georgia, you decided to start a boxing program. What were you trying to do with that?
Just give back.
Just put on shows, helping the new people.
Yep, get kids off the streets, do stupid shit,
Well, and I got with you early on. I saw one of the people you had training and things like that. And you actually were really into giving back and trying to make sure people got trained. So I did see that. But when did you decide to go into wrestling?
Just happened by accident.
Yeah, we had a boxing show. What was it called there at the Civic Center? Beat down
in C-Town.
And then we had a flat tire. Went up to, what's it called? Walmart. And we ran into Oz. And Oz like, have you ever thought about doing wrestling? I'm like, professional wrestling? Well, and he gave me his number, and it all started from there.
All right. So, in other words, you had a flat tire and had a bad night too getting with Oz.
Yeah. The
Well,
only reason wrestling, it was cheaper than doing the boxing or the MMA. A lot cheaper.
Well, I
I
know,
don't know. I don't know if I ever met this Oz. This is not our Oz, is it, Bo?
no, you did meet Oz one time. Big tall guy. You've met him, you've worked around him. But
No, I
I'm
don't remember.
I'm not going to say he was like nothing to remember, because I don't want to knock the man, but he didn't he didn't go in as far into it as we did a lot.
I got you. Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah.
I know, Dave, that you ran Columbus, you ran Macon, you ran, what was it, Warner Robins?
Yep.
Was that all the only places you ran?
Where was AWN?
Fort Valley.
Fort Valley.
Fort Valley. I know you did some stuff in Atlanta too for a sports expo.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we did a little bit here and there. That's all.
Well, you say a little bit. You had what, 6 years into it?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
It got us I got our oldest son really into doing movies and stuff like that for his career.
Well, yeah, your oldest son was your cameraman, and he was a really good cameraman, got good shots. He took a lot of good training with people, when they told him this is what I do and come out. And
Yeah,
then
he did actually he did more camera work. Sammy did more camera work than Nick did. Nick did a lot of the editing, and Nick came up with the ideas of interviews and advertisements. He came up with the part of the TV show and taught me how to do that. So,
well, speaking of going into the TV, you guys had a lot of TV deals. You had all around South Georgia and Alabama.
yeah,
I know you were on the internet. Was it Fight TV?
yeah.
You tried, what was it, Netflix, getting with them, but that didn't go.
It was Amazon Prime. We were actually on
Amazon
there.
Prime. Yeah.
Just didn't get viewers, so they canceled it.
Well, you done a lot more than a lot of groups did. You guys tried to get it out there and promote your wrestlers.
Well, just from the outside looking in, I'll tell you this. Georgia wrestling and wrestling as a whole, they have the promoters are usually the wrestlers. So it's all about them, and they don't promote it like it's a business. It's a business. You got to run it like it's a business, not your ego.
That's true. That's true.
Man. Yeah. Oh, God, that is something we put up with our whole careers.
Yeah.
Walking into a show and the promoter is working in the main event, and you already know that no matter what you do, if you're too good, they're gonna send you home because they don't want you stealing their heat. Yeah, it's like it was just horrible to walk into that atmosphere, and so it was always good to walk into a promoter that was promoting his show instead of himself.
Oh yeah. That's the big difference that nobody knows. It's not about ego. It's not about you. It's about the business.
And then if you're not worried about like your wrestling match and stuff like that, you can take care of stuff that's going on during the show.
Yeah.
There's concession stand and fans, and there's always stuff going on.
Well, I'll give a lot of credit to Dave. Dave was in charge of the show. Angeli, you were running snack bars and you were running around, crazy trying to get things going. But
I did the background.
Which the background is a big thing. But Dave always said, look, this is what I want. I have an idea. And he would give the wrestlers a lot of leeway in the matches, things like that, because Dave didn't know the business as well.
Well, it's simple. It's they forget what they're there for. They're not there to build their ego. They're there to entertain the fans. So it's simple. Just give them basic guidance. You're the good. You're the bad. He goes over. Do it dirty. Simple.
Yeah.
Well,
So I remember when Dave brought me in, and this was after I had retired from in-ring wrestling. You brought me back to kind of manage the locker room and shut down some of those egos. And and so I give all the credit in the world to CJ because CJ immediately fell in line and he kind of helped lead the way to knock some of those egos down and started putting a smoother production out because I wouldn't let them do whatever they wanted to do, and so you wouldn't have the same finish going out 3 matches in a row. Yeah.
well,
So,
speaking of you getting out of wrestling, your last episodes you had when you had uh the heart problem, your second episode was at Syndicate Promotions.
second one, I was actually wrestling Big Grizz. God rest his soul, but I was wrestling Big Grizz at Syndicate. I took a choke slam from a monster, and my heart skipped, and I ended up having to go to the emergency room. And then my last heart episode I had was also at Syndicate. I was just fooling around in the ring before the show. I wasn't wrestling, and my heart skipped. But that was my very last one. But that was the last of anything I did inside of wrestling at all. So my two last events were with Syndicate.
Well, Dave, I got one question for you. We
Oh.
tried, and we tried, almost had to drag you and beat you to get on camera because you were the owner. We wanted to put you as just the authority figure. Nobody knew you were the owner, but we wanted you were like the enforcer of the rules. You had Rico kind of in front of the camera, and you had a few other people. But we wanted to put you on camera one time, and you always talk about ego. You would run and just about hide in a broom closet not to be on camera because you didn't want that.
Well,
But,
it's not.
but the thing is the minute we got a opening in the announce booth, Dave, you should have been a worker your entire life. I've told you this off camera that I enjoyed watching the shows for your commentating. You missed your calling.
It's a little late now.
It's never too late.
It
No,
is.
What started you into the commentating?
Nobody else was there, and Rico couldn't do it himself, so I helped out.
Well,
Simple.
I think your helping out kind of took the lead because when Rico left, you got a few other people in there, and you were the mainstay for probably 6 months worth of time on commentary.
Yeah, well, you do what you got to do to keep it going.
And I do know you ran some big shows. You put a lot of your money out of your pocket without making none from the shows, which it's not a big secret. You know, that's why the old joke says, what's the difference between a wrestler and a large pizza? And you know, the large pizza can feed a family of four.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
you know how to make a small fortune in wrestling, right? You
Don't
start with the big one. Yeah.
so it's no secret that there's no money, and you took a lot out of your pocket, and I want to thank you. And I know a lot of other people have said thank you and appreciate what you did for them, that were there. But you put on shows at the Civic Center. You did a lot of things. You had one, I can't remember the name of the show at the Civic Center. Do you?
Fall Brawl. No, what was it? It was an NWA event.
Right. And you brought in the Steiners. You brought in a bunch of people like that. You had a lot of big names,
Yeah, we had a good one on that one. We had the Gorillas of Destiny against the Steiner brothers, and it was the first time that the Steiners were together in, I think, 12 years.
Yeah, that's correct. I remember them talking about that. And
Yep.
actually, you introduced the Gorillas of Destiny to Columbus, and now look where they're at. You know, they're up north. So,
What was that with the Steiner brothers? They came to Dave to say, "How do you want the match to go?" And he does like he always does. You know, you're the professional, you do it, you know. And they were just looking at him like, "Okay."
Yeah.
They had no idea. They were like,
just make it entertaining, and the only thing they wanted was somebody win a certain way, and I said, just make it happen. And they went out there and they did a hell of a show.
they did. That was actually a great match between them.
Yeah, I just gave them free reign to do what they wanted, just to make it look good.
Well, I know Death Row can agree to this. You always treated your wrestling organization like it was family. When you had to be the mean dad, you gave them the whooping,
Yeah.
and when they were doing right, you gave them the praise. And as a promoter, all you usually see, like he said, is they're holding the belt and tell you not to do nothing because it makes them look bad.
Well, that's
Oh, yeah.
okay. Run
Well,
it like a
No,
yeah,
I worked.
that goes from your days in the military too. You had to lead a squad. You had to be the leader, but you also had to be the parent, you know.
Well, I'll say this for Dave. When I came in over there, he was trying to rebuild Columbus, and so I come in and I look at everything he's got going, and I actually went to him and asked him for Grizz. I asked him if I could work a line with Grizz, and he was all happy for it. He wanted some experience in his show to rub off on the younger guys. And so I come in and do a line with Grizz, and it didn't just rub off on Grizz, but it rubbed off on every young guy in there because that's why I chose Grizz. They were terrified of Grizz. Grizz has been handling them boys, you know. And then I went out there and handled Grizz on the first night, and they couldn't believe it. And then they started paying attention. And so it was good to work like that, to have the freedom to do what you need to do because I had the show in mind. I wasn't putting myself over. I was trying to get the show over. You know, and you give me the freedom to do that, and it was fun.
yeah, I mean, like I said, just like a business. All you need is good guy, bad guy, who wins, do it.
Do it. Yeah.
but Dave always looked for new people, and he always wanted to bring young guys in and to give them the experience, to give them exposure. But I remember with Grizz, he couldn't walk down the back hallway. He had to like turn sideways. That's how broad that was.
Yep.
Grizz made two of me. Grizz actually made two of me, and I'm not a little man, you know. And but I'm going to throw this in here. One of my most fun times, and this was awesome, was Dave. You brought a guy in from Japan, and he couldn't speak no English. He couldn't speak any English,
Oh, I
and
forgot.
and so I ended up wrestling him his first night there, and we're in the back behind the building over there, and I just point at him, and I point at my left leg, and he looks at me and shakes his head yes. And that was our whole match right there, man. And we went in there and had a great match. That kid could flat go. And
Yep.
then the next week we come back, he wrestled somebody else, and after their match, that guy come running straight to me and he says, "How in the hell did you wrestle him?" He doesn't understand anything. And I looked at him, I said, "No, he can't speak English, but he can wrestle. Why didn't you try to wrestle him?" You know? And, but yeah, that was a fun time, man. That was good.
Well, I had the same thing the one time wrestling the guy from Puerto Rico, uh, up in Johnny's show. Johnny tried to explain to him, and they spoke Spanish together, but the Spanishes didn't jive because one was from the other side of the island.
No, he wasn't from Puerto Rico. No, No, he was from way down south of Mexico, dude. He wasn't from Puerto Rico. He was from Guatemala.
Guatemala.
Yeah, and so they didn't speak the same Spanish. So we didn't even have a translator.
See, I got in there with him, and anytime there was a screw up, one of us just grabbed a hold. You know, that's all it was, and then we went from there once we reset.
Yeah.
Dave,
Oh.
I know you did a lot of promoting the show yourselves. You had people running posters, but you did a lot of the promotion. You, Angelique, and your family did a lot of the promoting. You did a lot of the original bookings, bringing people in, trying to find people. What was your favorite part of the whole thing?
I don't even remember. Couldn't
I
even say.
I know you got frustrated a lot doing the promoting.
But yeah, there was a lot of headaches with people thinking they were superstars, egos, and things like that. So
Well, I'll be the first to tell you, I'll put somebody over in a heartbeat.
Me too.
And the thing is, a lot of people won't do that because they think you got to win to be somebody.
and that's part of the problem with wrestling. Not necessarily the big time like TNA and WWE and all that. It's the local little promotions, and that's the problem.
They all want to be the big fish in the small pond.
Well, what these guys don't understand and don't know is that in order to get over, you have to go under. There's no way to get over unless you're under. And so they want to start on top, but if you start at the top, there's only one way to go, and that's down. You know, and so you need a good heel really to understand the value of building a hero, but you also need a hero that understands that he has to be built.
Yeah.
And with those two things, you're not just building a hero, but as your hero comes up, the show comes up with him. And the show is as valuable as the top guy. And so you really have to invest in that guy to get him up there. These guys want to start on top with no investment. They're not invested in, and
Yep.
nobody but their family gives one damn about them. And
I
that's all that's in the audience is their family.
I remember that one guy, he lost every single
Oh yeah.
he lost every time, and he almost won, and people wanted to see him, even though he got smashed every
Every match.
match, and then he won a belt and lost it the same night. So it's like he didn't care. Yeah,
The fans
the
went.
fans loved him.
Yeah.
Well, I know one of your heavyweight champions lost just about every match, but retained his belt somehow. And
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. Oh Lord, my mind just went blank. CJ and them always beat him up, and somehow he would fall on them, something like that, and keep his belt.
I don't remember that.
Wasn't wreckage, was it?
Wreckage.
Becky.
Oh,
yeah.
Wreckage. Yeah, he was. That was something. That guy was. Yeah.
I liked Wreckage. He wasn't. He didn't go to a traditional wrestling school. He did the
DVD.
DVDs.
Oh my
And
Lord.
that way through what is it, WWA4, the place in Atlanta.
Yeah, we're like, oh gosh, no, we're not gonna
DVDs,
have
but
him.
we brought him in anyhow and gave him a shot, and then we worked him and gave him a gimmick that worked with the crowd, and they loved him, so we pushed him.
Well, I know the man up in the corner. He's got a funny story about when he wrestled Wreckage.
Which time?
The one where he didn't do the move.
Oh my God. Yeah. So we get in there. I'm trying to set Wreckage up for success, right? And I'm trying to shine him up. And Wreckage, like you just said, was not very knowledgeable. He didn't have a lot of wrestling vocabulary. And so I'm trying to keep it simple. And all I want him to do is grab me in an arm drag and keep giving me arm drags until I get away from it. And we spent about 10 minutes in there with me trying to get him to arm drag me, and he would never arm drag me. I finally grabbed the referee and I said, go tell that dumbass to give me an arm drag or I'm going to kick his ass. And he goes over there and tells him that. I come out feeding for an arm drag and he never grabbed that arm drag. I just got up and went to work on him. It was like, it was like I didn't know what else to do. Yeah. It's like,
Recky's was a good kid. I liked him. It's just he didn't have the traditional experience.
no, and look, I don't have anything against Wreckage. And I'm pretty sure I put him over that night after I smartened him up a little bit. And then ended up working him and Stunt Marshall in a handicap match one night. And it turned out pretty good. I think Stunt got smartened up in that one. I think after the match, Stunt come to me and he said, "I don't think I've ever been hit like that ever in my life." And I looked at him and said, "I'm sorry, man." And
Well, a lot of people don't know. Stunt started as the people we hate the most. He started as a backyarder.
yeah.
He was a backyard wrestler, and then he decided to get trained because he was tired of getting hurt and doing stupid things.
That's one of the ways that we got in. There was a backyard. They had a nice website. It looked legit.
Yeah.
And it was.
They said they were a legitimate wrestling company. We were just starting out. We didn't know. And turns out they didn't know shit. And they were a backyard wrestling. They had no experience, no nothing.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, Stunt Marshall broke his teeth in your show. Stunt Marshall come in and he literally broke his teeth in your show. And Stunt, everything I see about him now, he is fantabulous, man. This guy is blown up. He knows what he's doing. He looks good. He sounds good. And I'm really happy with where Stunt has taken it, over the years to get to where he's at.
Well, I know Stunt. He started training a lot over there and did matches at GCW and things like that, and started getting a lot of background. When he hit Dave's show, you saw the personality coming out and starting to come out on him. And I just went and videoed a show. I put it on the page. I was sitting there. I'm dying laughing, and he's doing everything just perfect. He's bringing the crowd as a heel. He's doing different gimmicks, and the crowd's hating him, but they're loving him at the same time. He's the man they love to hate,
That's,
and he's
Yeah.
working everywhere.
That's one thing that Dave did. He would talk to the wrestlers and bring out the personalities, and they're like, "Well, can we go further?" And he's like, "Take it further. Be very them. Just put it all out there." And he encouraged them, and he gave them some of them gave them complete gimmicks and told them what they should do, and then there you go. Like
Oh
you
yeah,
said,
he had a lot. He had a lot of information. He says if basically if you're going to be an ass, be the biggest one. And people really took that. They said, "Oh, we got free reign." And now if they went too far, he would rein them in real quick. You had not I ain't going to mention his name, Darkmon. When he went out there and acted a fool in the ring and started cussing. I don't know if you remember that.
Dave sent out the Syndicate guys to go out there and pull him out. Yep.
Yeah. He reined him in real quick because he got out in the ring and started. I can't remember who he was working. He started cussing, and that got shut down real quick, and he didn't come back.
That's what you got to be. Yeah.
If he said it, it was word.
Yeah. Dave did it right. You have to back up what you say. If you don't back it up, they'll run all over you.
Yep.
And I know you had 1, 2, 3 arenas in Columbus. You had the big one over where the bowling alley is.
From Porch of the South.
From Porch of the South. That was a nice little venue. I mean, it was just a generic building, but it was big. You could do things with it, and it was nice. It wasn't ratty.
for 400 people a couple of times.
But 400 people on an indie show these days is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Most of these indie shows are 20 to 100 people.
Then we did.
Then we thought we could do better, and so we went on the south side of town.
Yeah, which
that was a stupid move.
We're implants. We're northerners coming down to the south, so we didn't know what Columbus was like. So when we got the old Club Chirac, we thought maybe it'd be good, but turns out it was shit.
That's where I worked with you at, was at the
Right.
club. Yeah.
A lot of building.
Yeah, we just figured we could rent the building and put on 2 shows a month for the same price we did at the front porch of the South, not knowing that the south side of town was not the way to go.
Didn't have the draw. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, not only didn't have the draw, you spent most of your time trying to fix the building.
Yeah.
You basically improved somebody else's building. They wouldn't do it.
And then we went and did the church. What church was that?
Oh yeah, we had a couple shows there. St.
Was it
Luke's.
St. Luke's?
Did those. Then we did the place over here,
At AAA Storage.
AAA Storage.
I
we-
remember building that.
Yeah. Well, you built that one, and then you helped us over AWN, and you helped us there at Club Chirac. You've been around for a little bit, Bogey.
Well, even if I'm not wrestling, I'm still in the background somewhere with a lot of people because I built. Martin can tell you ever since I started doing this, I've been building entranceways. I've been doing sound or something.
The AWN story was, I think, one of my best ones.
Oh,
Where-
yeah.
Where we actually we were brought in to help save the AWN that was dying.
They were getting 10 people?
They weren't getting nothing. They brought us in to help them rebuild the brand. So then we ended up that we kept Mike Money on, even though he wasn't part of the show. We kept him on like he was still the face of AWN, and we would come in Syndicate to help AWN. But then the story is we actually were taking over AWN, and the fans didn't know it, and they were beginning to hate us for it.
Mike Money told us that fans were calling him and asking what's going on because they believed the storyline.
That we were taking over the company from Mike Money.
They were mad.
Yeah.
Well, hey, if they believed it, you did it right.
And,
That's what I thought.
And he went right with it. He said, yeah, he goes, I brought these people on to help promote the show and stuff, but now they're starting to take over and I just don't know what to do. And that was him just talking to the fans on his own time.
Well, I know when you were doing your TV show, you had a lot of the Columbus stuff. Actually, one other place that not a lot of people know that you ran is you were the first person to put wrestling on Fort Benning.
Oh, yeah.
I know that the organization I worked with before, I mean, I'll say it's GCW. That was a great organization at one time. But we tried forever to get Fort Benning. We did the God Bless Fort Benning celebrations downtown. We did all kinds of stuff, and they were always hemming and hawing. And then all of a sudden you talk to them, and next thing you know, you're in.
Well, yeah, I went through MWR.
We even tried that. We tried it. We had representatives come out to talk to us.
They must not have been saying the right stuff.
And that's what it is, and you're military, you know how to speak military, and I guess the people over there didn't.
I don't think that was it, but yeah.
Well, you're a lot better with your words.
Not military.
Right.
They're civilian.
Well, that is true. That is true. But going back to your TV, you did, 3 seasons? You had some Columbus, and then all of a sudden, like one of the seasons, you just straight went into AWN, and I think you did about a season and a half at AWN on your TV.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
You had a lot going on down at AWN.
Yeah. Yeah, there was just issues there, and that's why it was done.
Well,
Well, the
uh,
reason because of his mom.
Yeah.
well, I know you had family issues and things like that, but I know there was other issues. If you want to talk about it, you can talk about it. But I know there was other issues. Uh, but what made you finally decide to completely say hell with wrestling?
Oh, my mom on her deathbed for one, having to take care of the family going up north and that, not having the money, and then not wrestlers not even caring, thinking they're more important than anything else. So after that, I was just like, I'm done. I'm not going to waste any more time with this shit.
Well, and I know even after that, you still tried to help people. You said, "Hey, if you want to borrow this and thing." You never really got bitter about it. I know you're bitter about some things, but you always still try to help people.
I'm not really bitter about it. I just don't understand why they were just the way they were, because it was about their ego and nothing else.
Right. And I know who the people are that did that. And trust me, when they worked with me over at the other place, and they still the same way in other places. It's all about them.
I mean, we treated them right. We fed them, asked opinions, and still, I don't know. It
Just wasn't worth losing all the money for no appreciation. Plain and simple. I'd rather have more money for my family than not.
and they couldn't understand if we got bigger, they would get paid more. If we got more people in, you get paid more. That's the way we were. You know.
Well, we tried to implement one thing that the boxing world does where you get paid in tickets, right? So the tickets say, let's say the tickets cost $10. So instead of giving you $20 to go wrestle or $30 to wrestle, I'm going to give you 10 tickets. You can sell them for whatever you want. And if you want more tickets, I'll give them to you. And they just do it because, for the wrestlers, that required work selling tickets.
You
They
should have
couldn't even,
brought Mike Jackson in.
so they couldn't even get their own family to buy tickets. So I mean, we've done that. The Blue Horizon up in Philly for the boxing. That's how they did it there. And there was like local dudes that they would end up selling 1,500 tickets. So they were making mega paydays fighting nobodies. And it could have worked the same way in wrestling, but nobody wanted to do it.
A lot of the independent wrestling is generally lazy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now, and we always talk about the old school, me and Death Row, we're always talking about the people we work with. And don't get us wrong, there was a lot of them that were lazy too.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know? But this generation growing up, if you gave them a compliment, all of a sudden they're Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they don't have to do nothing.
we had some wrestlers that came in, helped set up chairs, and help help do things and everything like that.
That was mostly the older generation that helped and did things, got there, helped do setup, helped do tear down and stuff like that.
Well, they appreciated the opportunity. They appreciated a place to show their craft. Now, myself, Bogey, and people of our generation, we worked really hard to perfect that craft. So much so that I could be an old beat up guy that was basically out of shape because of health problems and still be able to turn a crowd because I perfected my craft, and I didn't have to work as hard to do it. And these guys now, man, they just do not have one clue. It isn't even a craft to them. Every bit of it spontaneity. There's no craftsmanship. Not like it used to be.
And to me, the wrestling has changed because when I was growing up watching wrestling, it was kind of believable. You knew who was a good guy, you knew who was the bad guy. Now it's all about flipping and high flying and doing all this stuff to look good, and it doesn't make sense.
Let me get my 20 finishers in.
Well, that's because nobody gets hurt either.
Yeah, well, until they get in there with me.
Yeah.
You talk about wrestling's changed. Yeah, wrestling's changed from the 1910s, the 1905s, the 1800s when they were doing it in the circus. But the one thing that has not changed is the asses in the seats. You still have to have an audience, because if there's no audience, you're just out there grabbing some other person and rolling around with them.
Playing to the locker room.
Yes, and that's what a lot of them do.
Yeah.
I've started going around to different things, and I try to get people that are on the page to give a shout out, tell who they are. And one of them, I'm not going to say who it was. I tried to give him a little bit of advice on, promotion, when he's giving a promo. If you don't believe it yourself, nobody else is going to believe it. And when he introduced himself on camera, it was like, I'm so and so, and you're watching Johnny's Garage. And the next guy goes, hey, this is, and I'm like, okay, you know your job. And it's a lost art to talk anymore, too.
Yeah.
So, well, Dave, is there any wrestling in your future? If you got a small fortune and you found a good group of people that would listen, would you do it again?
No.
Go to Disney World.
I knew the answer to that. I knew what that answer would be, but I just wanted to see.
Take that money and go to Disney World.
I had a deal to take over NWA at one time, but then, Patrick Corrigan came in, he got it, but we had a deal going before that, and he snuck in the back and got it.
Yeah.
Well, I know you had a lot of organizations in Georgia that hated you.
Oh, really?
Because you were doing something. You were putting people to work. You were on TV, and they didn't like that. I know for a fact the organization I worked with before I met you would get on the phone. I ain't gonna say her name, but she would get on the phone and call the fire marshals and everything and try to get you shut down.
Yeah,
she did everything she could in another city.
Took our belt buckles.
It didn't work.
Turnbuckle. They took the turnbuckles. They said it was theirs.
Yeah, whatever. It didn't work. That's just petty. Who cares?
It is, but the petty stuff in wrestling, we're all supposed to be brothers. You never stepped in the ring as a wrestler, but you took your beating as the promoter, booker, and person in the background. So you're part of the family. And a lot of these people forget that we are family. We are supposed to stick up for each other. Anybody that steps foot into this business and tries to step against one of us should have a locker room, every show in the area stand up to them.
Yeah, it's not like that anymore.
No, it's not.
And if we would go ahead and do wrestling again, well, we have our partner David Harris. I don't know if we would or not. If Harris wanted to do it, we might actually do it.
I don't think so.
Dave, I told you a long time ago, take your money and run. Because I saw what you were losing. And I knew what you were going through and what you were doing. Let me tell you, there's a lot of people that should be kissing your feet right now saying thank you.
Yeah, it is because what it is.
You put all of us above your family.
Yeah. Big thank you from me, man. I enjoyed my time with you. I had a ball doing it. Did it when I shouldn't have.
Thank you for doing it.
Is there any one moment in time, any show, any wrestler, any stupid skit on camera that you did that you remember?
Not really, not one more than others.
So you're the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just that storyline between AWN and NSW.
Yeah.
That was probably like one of the better things that we did.
You know, it's all in the past. It don't matter anymore.
I remember the blow off show on that. And that was a pretty daggone good show on that storyline. That was really good. I enjoyed it.
We actually had plans for somebody else to take over while I took care of, the family issues, my mom and everything. But we just had issues with the wrestlers in the back and the problems, and they put themselves above everything else. So I said, screw it.
I remember one in particular. I don't know his name. He was a big guy. He was my size. He had the worst attitude of just about anybody that come into your locker room. And I thought for sure that I was going to end up having to fight him. But a friend of mine showed up. I can tell who he is. AJ Steele came in, and he comes over and gives me a hug, and we're talking. And I had tried to shake this guy's hand like 3 times. He wouldn't shake my hand. But I never told anybody who I was. I didn't want him to know who I was. And so he comes over to talk to AJ, and AJ kind of tells him, "Hold on, I'm talking to my brother." And he asked AJ who I was, and AJ told him. And he kind of got wide eyed and looked at me and he stuck his hand out. And he's like, "I'm sorry, man. I didn't know who you were." And I looked at his hand and I'm like, "It's a little late for that. And AJ clowned on him. He's like, "Oh, you got this man mad at you?" And, but so there was just so much of a clash with that because he was wrestling the Butcher that night. And the Butcher come in and put on a hell of a show. And this guy was flagging in the wind behind him trying to keep up. He really wasn't that good of a wrestler to be acting like he was acting.
I can't remember who that was.
Your mom called. Yeah.
All right, Dave. I was going to suggest we get off, and I appreciate your time because I know it's getting late, and I know Big Death Row up there has got some more work to do.
Oh, yeah.
So, Dave, Angeli, from the bottom of my heart, I worked for you. I want to thank you for what you did for all of the boys.
No problem.
And like I say, thank you for coming on here and putting your story out because this whole page is designed. I could pay Hulk Hogan to come on here and say the same stupid stories, but what you don't hear is the people that are building everybody else or the people that have created something for a lot of the guys to move forward. And you were one of them that did that.
Yeah.
Well, you helped us out a lot.
Oh yeah.
I worked for the greater good. I saw you guys had an idea and you guys had a real drive to it, and it just helped me have the drive.
No.
All right.
I'm going to build on what Bogey said. This page that we have going is for the boys, by the boys. We got this thing going for the true wrestling family to be able to enjoy our memories and to be able to enjoy each other. And we're happy that you're on here and happy to have you part of the family. And that's coming from all of Johnny's Garage.
Yeah, we've always said we don't care if anybody that's outside the business looks at the page. I hope they do because we try to put the matches, we try to do that, and they can see what the fun was.
Right.
But this is for us, and hopefully coming in March, we'll see you up at the reunion. But I'll get you more information on that. Dave, Angeli, Martin, and everybody knows me. This has been Johnny's Garage, and once again, y'all have a good evening.
Good night.